Number two, if you're a Roman guard on duty and you fall asleep, how do you know what happened?
Maybe Jesus was never actually killed, that he was still alive when he was put in the tomb. Or the second one, his body was stolen by his believers. Or the third one is that this was kind of a vast conspiracy, right? So I know that's a lot, but
let's deal with the conspiracy first. In fact, it was Justice Antonin Scalia who in one opinion said this: we all know that the bumbling apologists, or the evangelists, these are the people that wrote down the New Testament, invented the resurrection story in a sinister attempt to get themselves all martyred. I mean, like, why would you invent a story that's going to get you killed if it's not true? It makes no sense at all. First of all, the empty tomb was empty because Jesus came out of it. It wasn't because his disciples stole the body. Why would they steal the body and then say he had risen from the dead? Again, to get themselves kicked out of the synagogue and then beaten, tortured, and killed? That doesn't make any sense. There were Roman guards on duty. And by the way, do you know that what their explanation was for why the tomb was empty? It was the disciples came and stole the body while the guards were asleep. Now, if you think about that for more than 5 seconds, you realize how stupid that is. Number one, if you're a Roman guard on duty and you fall asleep on watch, what happens to you? You're executed. Number two, if you're a Roman guard on duty and you fall asleep, how do you know what happened? What happened? Well, we were asleep, see? And while we were sleeping, we noticed that the disciples came right down here. And no, that doesn't make any sense at all. And number three, why steal the body to get yourselves killed? In fact, here's a really important point we need to make. A lot of people say, well, are there any non-Christian writers who talk about Jesus and the apostles? There are. I don't have time to get into it now. It's all in the book. But you know what the question implicitly assumes quite frequently is that you really can't trust the New Testament writers because, the New Testament writers were biased because, you see, they were believers. You only got to look at the non-Christian writers to really know what the truth is. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. That is silly. Why? What did the New Testament writers, who were all Jews, by the way, with the exception of Luke. Luke is the only Gentile. All the writers of the New Testament are Jewish believers in Yahweh who thought they were God's chosen people. Why would they invent the resurrection story, a story they didn't believe could be true, because they didn't believe a man could claim to be God? That would be blasphemy. And they didn't believe someone could resurrect in the middle of time. They knew we would all resurrect at the end of time, according to Daniel 12. These are things they didn't believe. Why would they say Jesus rose from the dead and claim to be God if he didn't rise from the dead and didn't claim to be God? What did they get out of this?